Welcome to Jura, the 8th largest island in Scotland, but one of the least built upon and populated. A rich heritage, thousands of wild red deer, the famous paps, a whirlpool, and of course our beloved whisky. While each of these elements is a part of Jura's story and identity, it's the contemporary, adaptive approach taken to sustaining our island that give it character. A stone's throw away from the Kintyre Peninsula and Argyll, Jura may be known as wild and inaccessible, but is home to a thriving, growing and tenacious community, a mishmash of ages and people from all walks of life, businesses, crofters, makers and doers, volunteer groups and charities, and a development trust that is 26 years established and counting. Today we want to tell you about just a few of the things the Jura Development Trust, or JDT, and its community volunteers have achieved to date. But more importantly, what these mean to the community which give this island its very soul. Jura can at first glance seem hard to get to, famously described as being ungettable. But it's not really remote. Everything we need and want is here, or in some way accessible, and that's because people within the community have made it happen. Despite being often described as an island off an island, we are in fact closer to the mainland than our larger neighbour, Islay. And although our 250 residents access a number of larger facilities and services on Islay, and sometimes the mainland, the Jura community have found many clever ways to get the things we need right here on our own island. From fuel to food, schools and doctors, specialist accommodation and an abundance of businesses. Crofting and farming, tourism, local artists and makers, fresh local produce, places to eat out, events, art and music. We might not have the traditional presence of official authority or public services other places enjoy, but here the community fills the void. Volunteer fire service and Coast Guard teams, special constable police, volunteer supported business facilities, locals sharing a rota for food deliveries to the North End, business units, ferries, piers and pontoons, community volunteers working together to maintain paths, school grounds, verges, milestones and bridges. And what makes Jura wonderful and strong is the rich tapestry of its people, ideas and ways of working that weave together over the years. So welcome to our island. We hope you enjoy your visit. Jura's only shop is small but mighty, at the heart of the village, and in many ways the heart of daily island life. Serving the community from this spot since around 1860, this shop has provided essential goods and services on this island through generations and the ups and downs of modern history. In 2012, the shop was on the brink of collapse, threatening to leave the island with no direct food provisions, no post office, and no village hub. You see, it's not just the bread and milk people go to the shop for, but something far more important. Connection, a place to exchange information. It provides year-round employment and a retail outlet for local producers. The Jura Development Trust purchased the land and building in 2012 when it became clear there were no other buyers. With the nearest alternative several hours away by public transport on the next island, saving the shop wasn't just about making sure people had services nearby. It was about retaining our independence as a community. protecting something so vital with the decisions being made by the people who choose to call Jura their home. Following a large-scale refurbishment, an independent community interest company was set up to run the day-to-day business. Today now, both the JDT and the CIC work to ensure the long-term sustainability of this vital island asset. It's not easy, it's not profitable, but it's absolutely worth it. The restoration and caring for the Corran Path is another of such a great Jura project, pulling together different strands of the way we work in the community. Of course, the path was already there and had been for an age. We didn't create it. And like much of the work we do, reinvigorating Corran Path was about protecting something loved. Let's hear from Deborah Boyle, who's chair of the Jura Development Trust.
Phase 1 of the Corran Path was actually funded through Foundation Scotland. We created a local group called the Corran Path group, and the estate, the forest estate, help us out with that, so they kind of help to maintain and look after the path, cut away the bracken, etc. We maintain some bridges, and there's also an interpretation area, a musical interpretation area that was done by someone local here, Giles Perrin, who's our Sound of Jura musician here. So he has built and developed musical instruments out of water pipes and metal pipes, and there's xylophones, and there's something called a bat phone, which is not a flying bat, it's actually pipes that you hit with a bat, and it's on a scale. So it's really fantastic. That encourages people to go down to the beach as well. So we want to sort of connect that phase 1 with phase 2, so you can actually go from the village all the way down, right through the interpretation area, all the way over to what we call Big Corran, the faraway beach.
By making Corran Path more usable, we aimed to bring that sense of connection to the land, to more of the community. For many decades, Jura had direct ferry links to the mainland. These enabled the transportation of goods, livestock, mail, supplies, equipment, visitors, family, and loved ones. Many people now think the sea is a barrier, an obstacle, but for the island, the sea is our gateway. In the 1970s, that changed, with our direct link to the mainland being removed and replaced with a connection to the neighbouring island of Islay, making us an island off an island, and with it, bringing those challenges of double insularity. As well as impacting logistics, the time, cost and complexity of getting to the mainland across 2 stretches of water also changed our outward identity. Nowadays it's common to hear Islay and Jura, where we are tacked onto the island through which we are expected to access the rest of the world. An island which is vastly different from our own. In 2008, the Jura Development Trust launched a trailblazing pilot, which later became part of the community-led portfolio, a passenger service going directly to the mainland from the heart of the village of Craighouse. Running through the spring and summer months, the passenger ferry runs a fixed timetable designed by community volunteers to link as much as possible to local transport on the other side. The service is subsidised primarily by Transport Scotland, with some support from our local authority, but it's one that often comes into question, and one that the community and local businesses defend fiercely. Liz and Heather Mack are long time associated with the island. And tell me, Heather, what difference does it make to you visiting?
I would say it makes a huge difference. I get over to see my mum a lot more often, and if I want to come for a weekend just to the island, I'll consider it a lot more often than go by the big ferry. So I definitely, coming from my house to Jura, I can do it within 4 hours, where if I go other transport, it's eight hours to get here.
That's a big difference.
That's helping keep your family together.
Yeah, I managed to come over and see my mum and Bill a lot more often.
I get the odd surprise visit as well. At birthdays and things.
Yes.
Yeah.
It supports businesses and tourism, gives us resilience and autonomy. It's made our village bay a place of industry. The addition of pontoons to facilitate the service opened up options for other boat users, local and visiting. It's our own wee declaration of independence. And so, as we come to the end of your short visit and you head back to the mainland, we want to thank you for dropping by. We trust you've enjoyed learning of the work of the Jura Development Trust and observing the fruits of our labours and the passionate commitment of our volunteers. In just over a quarter of a century, you will have seen we have already achieved a great deal, supporting the lives and well-being of both those who visit our island and, of course, the increasing numbers of those who choose to make Jura their home. We will continue to support and protect all those in our community, our people, our businesses, our services and charities, our environment, and not least our island and the shores that surround us. Whilst we wish you a safe journey home, however you travel, we feel confident the spirit of Jura will have embraced you, and we very much look forward to you returning to our island again soon, when you can be assured of a very warm welcome, regardless of the weather. Haste you back.